This is episode 38 of the After Gambling podcast. In this episode, we'll talk about advertising bans on gambling and what I think might be a good compromise and is maybe a unique solution. Hey there, and welcome to the After Gambling podcast. My name is Jamie. I'm a compulsive gambler, and I'm also the host of this show. The last time I gambled was July 15th of 2010. On the heels of the 2018 World Cup, and I guess with just the general expansion of gambling here in the U.S., advertising has been a huge topic of discussion. And we'll kind of touch on some of the things that are happening around the world in this episode. But I wanted to take an episode and really devote it to advertising because this is sort of my area of expertise as well. This is what I do for a living, is advertising and marketing. So I look at it a little bit differently maybe than some people, but I wanted to share my thoughts because I think we can go too far in either direction. I think we can have too many ads, but I think we can also become uber sensitive and ban all advertising for gambling. And if it's illegal, I just don't see how we can create a complete ban on a product that we, as a government, say, okay, this is okay for our people to consume, any more than we should on alcohol or on food or any type of product. Yes, I think there need to be limitations. I think there should be limitations for any product. And I think any product that has both a good and a bad side to it, I think you do have that social responsibility to make sure that you are helping out in places where you may also be causing problems. And a big reason why I wanted to do this episode, and it kind of spurred me to do it today, it's Friday, and I'll admit I didn't have anything scheduled for today or ready for today. I was just going to kind of figure something out today and run with it. But I was watching the Ryder Cup, which is playing right now, and I was watching, and the wind gauge popped up, and they said, a 10-mile-an-hour wind gauge. And each hole they're showing the wind gauge. Well, one of the gambling companies here in the U.S. is sponsoring the wind gauge. So each time it pops up, it shows their company logo and name. Now, I know, for you or across the pond in the UK or maybe in Australia, you say, well, Jamie, this is the crap we've been complaining about for all this time. And don't get me wrong, it's not that gambling advertising here in the United States is completely new. A few years back, we had the fantasy sports that were illegal for a little bit. They still operate, but they kind of got cracked down upon. And after the crackdown, they really stopped advertising. But before the crackdown, there were a couple companies, and it was just a mad race to see who could spend more on advertising. Anything related to sport was tied with one of these companies as the sponsor. And no matter where you looked, any type of sports show, all the sports shows, talk shows, TV shows were all sponsored by these companies. And so I get it. And I know we haven't had it nearly to the level that you have in the UK and that we've seen across the world in relation to the World Cup. And so I understand that, but it was just interesting that popped up on golf, and it's the wind meter. It's like, okay, what a sort of weird place to put it, but it's going to be there and it's going to be in front of people. So I think it's important that we have this kind of discussion. And right now, there isn't a whole lot of legislation, although there is around the world, and it's kind of, there's pushback, like I say, about the World Cup just being so packed with ads. And I think the gambling companies and the television companies as well made a big mistake. They really pushed it too far. And I think they realize that now that they're receiving so much pushback that, okay, we oversaturated these ads and people noticed. People notice the ads, but not for the right reasons. And that's one of those things with advertising. It's kind of a double-edged sword. When you put an ad out, you hope that it gets noticed. You hope that it gets picked up. You hope that it gets talked about. But you hope you don't do anything to really screw it up as well, because you can spend all that time and money on the ad and then have it fall on your face. And I think that's sort of what we're seeing and why there's such a big pushback against the gambling ads and gambling companies. So let's kind of do a quick trip around the world, or at least just touch on a few places. First, I will start off with Italy, which this summer passed a government-approved ban on all advertising for gambling. And this included TV, radio, and online. And they promised hefty fines for anybody that wasn't in compliance. And this happened sort of this summer. I think it was in July when I was at the national conference, and it was a big topic of discussion because, as one of the operators said, you take away our chance to advertise, you're sort of cutting out any chance of us surviving. And I do think this is too far. I understand, obviously, with my background, I understand more than anybody that gambling ads and getting somebody addicted to gambling is a terrible thing and causes a lifetime of repercussions for that person and their family. But at the same time, like I said earlier, it's hard to regulate and create a ban that just completely eliminates a company's ability to advertise their product or service when, as a government, you say, okay, this is legal to do if you're of an age. That's where I just think there's kind of I don't know, it's a little bit hypocritical of the government to say, okay, you're allowed to do this, but you're not allowed to advertise it. And like I say, there has to be something in the middle. And my goal in this podcast is just to get that conversation started on that topic, to say, what can we do? Where can we meet in the middle? Because again, if we do this with gambling, are we going to do it with alcohol? And then what's next? I mean, are we going to get to the point where, hey, they make potato chips and they study in a lab to figure out the exact level of crispiness and saltiness and all those things that make them so appealing to us so that we can't put it down, that we need to eat more and more and more. And that's the same type of stuff that they're doing in gambling or in alcohol to make sure that it tastes better. I mean, consumers want better tasting and more exciting products that they enjoy more. And so the company's trying to deliver that. And so is advertising that, where do we meet in the middle? Where is it too much? And as I said earlier, obviously the kind of whistle to whistle advertising of gambling ads during the World Cup just sparked outrage and definitely went overboard. And so I think companies and TV companies are pulling back on their ads now to avoid kind of really pushing it too far. But something like the Italian ban, I think, is a little drastic. I don't know. I think if you're going to have gambling and make it legal, it's just weird to make it completely eliminate their ability to advertise their product. So next, let's shift over to the UK. And I picked up an article that was talking about the Labour Party, which is one of the political parties, and they're running on a platform of gambling reform. And one of their talking points refers to gambling advertisement. And it's their very first one. And they talk about the whistle-to-whistle ban on gambling advertisement during live sport. And again, this is kind of on the heels of the World Cup. I think it has potential. I think it's not a bad idea. I have another idea, which I'll introduce later, which kind of is maybe more of a meeting in the middle. Because like Italy, I don't see how we can completely eliminate a company's ability to promote their product or service if we are considering it legal and healthy for people of age. So that leads us to, what do I think? As an advertiser, a marketer, a former gambler that's had his life wrecked and deals with the fallout from his gambling almost every day, what do I think about these gambling bans and the proposed bans on gambling advertisements? Well, as I said earlier, I don't agree with complete bans because I think they limit a business's ability to be viable. And I think if you're going to have something be legal, you need to allow them an opportunity to be viable as a company. But as I also said earlier, I think there is a social responsibility. If you profit off of something that also has a dark side, you should be part of helping that dark side out. And the one compromise that I came up with was, what if we just make it where you can spend as much as you want on advertising your gambling ads? But, and this is a big but, it comes with an equal spend on advertising, awareness, and educational programs about responsible gambling and about problem gambling more specifically. And I think the reason I like this the most is that the big problem that we have in getting awareness and education for gambling as a disorder, as an addiction, is just a lack of funding and a lack of awareness. We have a marketing problem. It's a combination of no funding and no ads. And so getting that funding, taking that funding, and using it to create ads for awareness, that's going to help more people either stay away from gambling completely, or they or their family members can spot the signs of problem gambling earlier in the process and get that person to the help and treatment that they need. Now, I fully admit that this is not a full-form plan, And there are a lot of details that would need to be worked out and ironed out on this. But I think it's a place to start. I think it's a great place to start a conversation to say, what if we spent equally on advertising and then also on awareness and education so that our product is what we all want? Because anytime you talk to an operator, they say, we want to have a product that is safe for the people that enjoy it. The majority that consume our product, we want them to do so safely. And the people that can't do it safely, we want them to get treatment or to stop their problems well before. And so that's the one line I've heard from everybody, and I take anybody at their word. I know other people are a little more cynical, and at times I've been cynical too because it's hard to understand. But again, I'll take them at their word that this is truly what they want. And I think this is a great place to start to be able to advertise their product, but also to follow through with what they say they want, which is for people to do it responsibly and in a way that doesn't harm them. So that was just one of those things that I kind of came up with. And again, with the ad today on the Ryder Cup, it was kind of the start of what's going to be coming here in the US. I know we're going to spike, and then we're going to have the pushback and the fallout later on. We're going to kind of have those growing pains. And there's growing pains around the world. And I just think no matter what we do, we need to be thoughtful about it because extremes don't really solve anything. Extreme bans and unlimited advertising, both of those things I think we can agree are not good. And if we're just trying to push and pull our side and we're going to go to the extreme until they tell us not to, then the other side isn't going to necessarily be willing to compromise either. So I believe that meeting in the middle is the place to start. And then we can kind of work from there to solve the issues of problem gambling and gambling harm while still allowing people that can enjoy it in a way that's responsible and that doesn't cause any harm. I don't even like using the word responsible because that makes other people seem irresponsible and it's an addiction. At some point you lose responsibility. It's not a choice, it's the addiction. Like you're not consciously making the choice. So that's kind of a poor word choice, I think, in responsibly gambling. But they can enjoy gambling without it causing any harm to them, I think is a lot better way to describe that. Just like I can enjoy alcohol without any harm, but I know people that can't. And so I think having that balance that allows me to do something as an adult that I enjoy, that brings me together with friends, is a positive thing. And the government doesn't need to step in and completely eliminate that, but we need regulation. And on that topic, I'm not going to let the governments get off the hook on this episode because here in the US, the government really doesn't do much of anything for problem gambling as in the way of funding. And it's pathetic. It's really sad. It's terrible that there is such a lack of funding. We fund drugs, we fund alcohol. We're slowly, I think, starting to fund mental health. But gambling is this one little piece that doesn't get much attention paid to it. And it will. As we expand, it's going to pop up. Unfortunately, we'll have to react to it. We'll be very reactionary instead of proactive on it. But governments, come on. How about looking out for this? You talk about, creating debts and creating problems and the fallout from gambling, the theft, the crime, all those types of things. Gamblers are more likely to become alcoholics, and I think they're more likely to commit domestic abuse. Those are some of the studies I've seen. And so this isn't just about gambling and allowing somebody to do something that's their own money and they're on their own time. No, gambling harm goes well outside of that individual and affects a lot of people. So governments, you're not off the hook on this. You need to do something that isn't just, okay, this is a ban on it, we're going to ban it, or no, it's legal, you can do whatever you want. We need some money and some thought from you as well. And so that's going to wrap up this episode. But wait. I have an announcement. Started a YouTube channel. Just have one video up. It's about gambling and why I think the numbers of problem gamblers or compulsive gamblers that are often stated in studies are vastly misrepresented and underreported. And so I kind of give a little rundown from the view of a gambler about the reasons that we go underreported or the potential reasons that we go underreported. And I think it's maybe, I don't know if it's eye-opening, but it should help you understand why I think those studies are just, I think the studies don't set out to get it wrong, but I think they just miss. I think there's so much bias and sampling bias involved and just kind of people that sit on the sidelines and make sure that they aren't counted, that the studies don't do any good. And with that, the fallout is there isn't any more funding for it because people say, oh, it's a small issue. Where if it was maybe double or triple, which is probably a little more accurate in my opinion, then there would be more funding. There would be more people jumping up to say, you know what, we do need to help on this. So check that out on YouTube. Search After Gambling. Hopefully it'll pop up. If not, I will put a link in the show notes. And check it out. Let me know. I'll be doing more videos. I'll be doing some vlogging as well down the road. So subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get updates when those come out. Finally, remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not any of those big titles with letters after their name. So if you need help, go get professional help. Hopefully this is a starting point. I like to think of this podcast as a kind of a bridge to help, whether that's to GA, whether that's to talk to your physician, whether that's to talk to a therapist. I want to help by being the bridge to get to those places. But obviously this is just for educational purposes. And so don't use anything to make some life-changing decisions. You deserve it to get professional advice. So please seek it out. And finally, music for the show is Something Elated by Broke for Free and is licensed under the Creative Commons license. That will wrap up this episode, and I will see you in the next episode or on the next YouTube video.